Hello, hi, beautiful people. This is Sheila Bicknell, BlueWater Oracle. It is Thursday, February 27th, so right at the end of February 2025. Happy new moon to you wherever you are. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I am, in theory, doing paperwork. In actuality, I'm talking to you. So one of the reasons I wanted to come on and create a video today and pull some cards is around the concept of truth. So seeking truth, identifying truth, figuring out what is truth versus not. This is an era, a phase of huge amounts of information, right? We can go on the internet, we can go on our smartphones, on our laptops, on our computers. We can pull up data from around the world, opinions and information. And maybe you're like me, maybe you're not, but maybe you're like me and you're finding it all quite overwhelming because there's so much information, there's so much data, and yet getting to a version of the truth might seem difficult. And I understand that my truth on any given topic is going to be different than yours because my life has been different, my journey has been different. And sometimes the truth has a very simple information. So something like what day the garbage is going to be picked up this week in our town. To me, that's fairly simple. There's not a lot of opinions. Whether it should be more often, less often, be done differently, that creates a whole discussion. But what day it's going to be is perhaps maybe easier to get to the truth of the matter. This is what it is this week. This is what it is. This is what the plan is. But when we get into some of the big world situations or even local situations where there are really different points of view, really different perspectives, unknown solutions right now, perhaps you're like me in finding that this seeking for the truth can take an enormous amount of time and energy. So I wanted to pull some cards, not because they are necessarily going to give us the truth of all of this, although we love that. And I love the cards and I love the spiritual guidance that comes through them, through me to you, from the divine, from angels, from higher spirit, from great wisdom, from gods, goddesses, the God, depending on how you see it. But sometimes, even if they can't give us that nugget, that simple answer on truth, what they could do is to help us to see something in our own awareness of it right now that we want to be paying attention to and noticing. So yesterday was Pink Shirt Day here in Canada. I don't know if it's everywhere. And it's an anti-bullying day. So it's a day where choosing kindness and respect is really important. And this was born out of a situation, I believe, I think it was Nova Scotia, and in a school situation where a classmate was being bullied, and some kids came up with this idea to say, hey, let's stop this, let's figure this out. So coming from that, that is from a perspective that I honor very much: kindness, respect. But of course, then maybe not everybody does in the world, or they see things really different. So let's pull some cards, see where we want to go. Might be a little bit, might be long. We'll see. As you know, I can do long sessions. We know that. But we're going to pull a few cards and maybe it'll just be a little snapshot into the discussion and we can always revisit it at some point. So in case you don't know me, my name's Sheila Bicknell. I'm BlueWater Oracle, and I'm based just outside of Montreal in Quebec, Canada, where we are in late winter and it's been snowy. But we had a few warmer days, a little bit of a melt, and now we're going into a few snowy days. But it's quite beautiful with fresh snow, I have to say. So seeking truth, concepts around truth, information of what does truth mean? What does it represent? What do you need to be reflecting on and being aware of around the concept of truth for yourself? I have a whole bunch of card decks here, oracle cards, tarot cards, and we're just going to see which ones want to come up, have an explore with them, a discussion around them, and we'll go from there. And let me know in the comments what you think about it. How does it approach you? How do you see all these things? Which cards resonate? Which messages brought you to thinking about something perhaps in a different way? All right, opening the discussion, opening the explorations. Really important. Let's have a play. So let's see which decks want to come up first. I'll pull 3 cards, see where we want to go. That's what I'm feeling. And then we will go from there. So we're going to start with this one. So starting with the Native Spirit Oracle cards by Denise Lynn. Whoops. Shuffling challenges. Oh, it's always harder to do it up so you can see me on the camera because it's higher than I normally do it. Take a nice deep breath wherever you are. If you're listening only or if you're watching. So we're going to go to this one. Yeah, we're going to go to this one. So the second deck that's coming up for right now is The Power of Surrender. This is a deck by Dr. Judith Orloff. The February card in my year wheel has been stepping into stillness. So you could reflect on whether you worked with stillness at all this month, whether you had some silence and quiet, and whether it helped you find your inner power, find your personal power, or whether you need to carry some of that forward into the next month. So we've got 2 cards there. And our third card is going to be from the Robin Wood Tarot by Robin Wood. Excuse me. So publishers of these decks are Hay House and Llewellyn. Okay, let's see which card. Oh, got a card sticking out there. Going to go in. Right. So 3 cards side by side. I'm just going to have a little sip of tea before I get into it. And cheers on my women's networking mug. I am bold. I am brave. I am amazing. Because we needed some of that today. Woo! All right. So for the Native Spirit Oracle cards, seeking the truth, insights around the truth, what do we need to know? What could be helpful for us? We get the Spirit of Earth. Beautiful. So this is the Native Spirit Oracle cards. So in this card, we have the Spirit of Earth. And I never remember when I do these videos, whether it's backwards or forwards for you. So I apologize if it's the incorrect way. To me, it looks backwards, but I think it records correct. So we've got one of these big areas of, I believe, the United States of America, where they have these big red soil, sandy structures and the sort of mountains and things that have been carved in the earth from millennia, most likely, okay, or millions of years. Oh, it's a desert scene, so we've got some scraggly plants, we've got lots of rocks, we've got the sun rising or setting, depending on the positioning. It's the Spirit of Earth. So Spirit of Earth, you can come in with that spirit saying, okay, get into your own groundedness, get into your own connection, connect with the earth. And you could also look at it from a perspective. For anybody who knows me, you know that I'm really interested in helping our planet to be able to continue to help us thrive and thrive better and be well, be feeling better, doing better than we are, but not at the sacrifice of our planet, trying to keep everything in an important balance for us, which is a bit of an adventure right now, to say the least. So the Spirit of Earth for me brings up that question of centeredness, of groundedness, of balance. And this is you looking at this for you. So how is this important in your truth? You could also look at it to say that all of the other points, all of the other arguments and the questions and all this, if we don't have our earth, are some of the other things moot points? Do they not really make sense as a priority? Because structurally and meteorologically and energetically, if our planet is shifting and changing in the ways that all humans are going to suffer in more ways than we already do, then is that something that needs to have a greater consideration? Some people believe yes, some people believe no, and this is why we are seeking for the truth, which is hard to get in these kind of contexts. But if we look at Spirit of Earth as a card that's saying the spirit, the energy of the earth, what is she telling you? What does this represent for you as you seek the truth? Does the earth represent the truth for you? Or are you on a completely different way of thinking and deciding and choosing and reflecting on things? Okay. Some of the structures are very solid. They've been there for a really long time. Yes, they've changed, but not maybe in the degree that certain things are changing now. The sun rising, the sun setting, these are our flow of days and nights. And there's creativity there, there's energy there. So grounding for yourself. So from one aspect, we're looking at Mother Earth, the planet, the spirit of Earth, and what that represents to you and how that could tie in with your seeking of the truth or you're looking at insights around the truth. But then on the other side, it's saying, as you're doing these seeking, as you're trying to figure all this out, if you are, or you're needing a pause from it, then go into what grounds you, what centers you, what roots you onto the planet, gives you that sense of the energy that supports you, so you can then make necessary decisions, choices, options, action plans, or rest if you need it. That's card number one. And of course, when you read cards on a topic like this, you can keep going and going. There's multiple levels and layers of the insights and the discussions. So I'm doing a little bit, and then you can add what comes up for you and how it presents for you and mention it to me, because that's how we all work together and get our own insights flowing, and intuition and spirit energy comes together when one says, hey, but I also brought up this. Woo, so cool. Is it the same? Is it not? Let's see. Second card is from the power of surrender. Surrender comparisons with other people. Yes. So here we have a woman. I do not know the location of what she is wearing, where it would be. It makes me think Amazon indigenous, but I could be completely wrong. It could be in the Pacific. I could be totally off on that. So if you know, I'll put her there. Okay, she's got a very big sort of headdress. It could be, it might actually be North American Indian as well, now that I look at it, because it's feathers and the way the feathers are designed. I thought it was leaves, so it looked like leaves at first. So I love it. That's changing as I look at it. So if it's more feathers, then it could be North American indigenous. All right, some makeup, dark hair, a little bit darker complexion. Okay. But the words on this card are surrender comparisons with other people. Keep your eyes trained on yourself. Focus on your own strengths, attractiveness, and power. So here we're talking about truth, right? We're talking about seeking the truth, trying to figure out what's the truth in a certain subject or about a person or about an event that's going on or something that somebody said. Here it's saying surrender comparisons with other people. So are you putting a lot of your time and energy on what somebody else is doing, comparing to how they are speaking, how they are doing things? And this is saying keep your eyes trained on yourself. And I don't think it's doing such in a selfish way, but it's more saying that there's a lot that you need to be aware of within yourself. So your own strengths, it talks about your own attractiveness, your own power. So when you're looking at yourself, your choices, how you are behaving, how you are acting. So if you're always comparing with somebody else, are you actually giving them a lot more power than perhaps you want to, or you would need to in a certain situation? Now, that can be a nuanced thing, right? Sometimes we need to pay attention to other people for a myriad of reasons, but always come back to what is the self? How am I? Am I grounded? Am I centered? Am I behaving in a way that if somebody else was comparing, I would feel really solid and strong in what am I saying and doing and how am I acting? Okay. You will be different than other people because you're not the same person. You may have things in common. You may have similar perspectives or similarly aligned ways of approaching life, but you will not be the same. So surrendering comparison is really important. So what could you put instead of comparison, rather than comparing you to somebody else or looking at their power or their strengths? What could you bring to yourself that would allow you to notice what somebody else may be saying, thinking, or doing, but then coming back to you and saying, okay, what do I need? How does that respond? How do I respond to that? How does that make me feel? How does that impact my day to day? How does that impact whatever, some other aspect of my life? So noticing it. So maybe noticing rather than comparing, but then always bringing it back to you, that mirror, that reflection to say, where am I with this? What is this showing me? Do I have fears here? Do I have energy that's caught up? Do I have actions that I need to take or I want to take? What is it coming to me? So surrender comparisons with other people. I find it really interesting that we have a card coming up with an Indigenous person on it. I love that. I love that. Keep your eyes trained on yourself. Focus on your own strengths, attractiveness, and power. It's also making me think of the Ho'oponopono practice or prayer or methodology, which is that when we come into a situation, no matter what that situation is showing to us, there's a part of our history, our genetics, our DNA, our energy that has brought it forward so that we can see it, notice it, clear it up, do a cleaning, as they say, and then work with the divine to do that, bringing in love, bringing in gratitude, asking for forgiveness for anything that we bring, whether we know about it or not. If you have a different interpretation of Ho'oponopono than that, to me, please let me know. Absolutely. That's my understanding of it from Hawaii. Okay. Super interesting. Third card on our little dive into seeking the truth, paying attention to the truth, noticing, not paying attention to it, sorry, seeking the truth, trying to figure out the truth, identifying our own truth in any situation, which is kind of what we're seeing in some of this. So our third card is from the tarot, the Robin Wood Tarot. So when I read tarot like this, I'm reading it like an oracle because it's a single card. So we get the Wheel of Fortune. Ooh, look at this. Okay. So in this deck, really different than my other tarot deck for the Wheel of Fortune, we see the wheel and we see it cut into these different wedge shapes. And it's got almost a roulette wheel ball zipping around the outside. So on the top, this person is looking super happy, right? She's exuberant, her arms are up, there's a star above her head, her face is looking happy and joyous. As we go to each side, it's still feeling good, a little bit less exuberant, and then neutral on the sides, then down the bottom, feeling some degree of sadness, despair, upset, anger, and in the center at the bottom, full on despair, despondency. And it could be regret, it could be complete grief, it could be other things there. This is a number 10 card, the Wheel of Fortune. So as a wheel turns, there are always things that are shifting and changing. Something will come up and come into light, come into awareness. And then as the wheel goes down, something else changes. Something else disappears, gets released, gets let go of in order to bring something else up. It's a wheel. It has to move. Now, you may have a different interpretation of this card, and that's great. Let me know what it is in the context of our conversation here. For me, looking at this, I'm looking at the 10, the number 10, which is a new beginning. So there are always options when faced with a question of the truth. There are always options of a new beginning, a new choice, a new way of doing something, a new way of saying, I am finishing that and I'm starting anew. I am turning over a new leaf, if you like, or in this case, I am turning the wheel. It's also really, with this specific card versus the other tarot I have, it is giving you some power. So some of the power that we saw with that second card, it's giving you that power to say how you feel in any given moment. Do you want it to be a roulette wheel? Do you want it to be just fling that roulette ball around and see where it lands? Presuming it is not rigged, which comes into the whole truth question as well. So isn't that interesting? Presuming it's not rigged, that is actually a random thing. Do you want how you feel and how you are expressing and living in your day to be a random ball, roulette wheel ball flinging around? Or are you going to empower yourself? Are you going to notice and pay attention to how all these different truths that come to you in a day, how they are affecting you, how you are choosing your actions, your behaviors, how your thoughts are impacted in what you're choosing, how your emotions are communicating and telling you things? Are you going to let outside stuff impact all of that on you? Or are you going to take responsibility for yourself? I am in no way belittling huge and extremely difficult situations that millions of people around the world are facing in any given day. This is a question of when we're faced with a truth that we don't know the answer. We can't find an easy answer. It's not like saying garbage day is on Wednesday. It is multitudes of factors and information and pieces of info that have to come around the world from a whole different people. Some people are not telling the truth. Some people are specifically rigging something. Other people are genuine and giving the truth as they know it. So I'm not belittling, challenging, extremely, disgustingly difficult things that people are going through in the world. All different places, for all different reasons. And yet when we look at truth for ourselves in that seeking of what is truth, this coming off of the surrender comparison with other people, which also said, keep your eyes trained on yourself, focus on your own strengths, attractiveness, and power. This is where are we putting our focus on how we're paying attention to ourselves. And interestingly, in my membership group, the Oracle Cove, where we do readings every week, our weekly guidance card this week is focus. And it's all about my thoughts, our thoughts. Are they going for our highest good? Are they working with us for our highest good? Or is there something else going on? So this is not saying that it's impossible or unworthy to have different emotions and different feelings and different situations. Of course, we're human, that's life. But sometimes when we're looking at seeking the truth, we can pay attention to how am I approaching this? What am I letting impact me? And then those ripples, how do I then impact somebody else from there? And noticing and paying attention to that. So sometimes you're going to be the one moving that wheel to say, yeah, I'm stuck in this. I need to turn this wheel, turn the page on that, turn this wheel. And at other points, you'll be shown something different on the wheel. And then you'll get that different piece of truth. And you'll say, oh, that's interesting. That changes my perspective. That changes my awareness and my understanding. And I will shuffle and shift accordingly. Always a turning wheel. Always a changing. So if something seems like it's this and only this, and that is only the way it is, I wonder with this wheel of fortune, if it's saying, really, is that the way a wheel works? I don't think so. There's ups and downs, and there's always a turning that happens. And sometimes, yep, it might feel like a random ball, like a roulette wheel, not fixed or fixed. Got to pay attention to that. And other times it's choice, a whole bunch of choices put together that mean that particular moment on that wheel. Do I turn it? Do I change it? Do I accept it? Do I appreciate it if it's helpful and valuable and good and whatever truth it's giving to me in that moment? Or do I ask for something to change? Really interesting. So those are the three cards I pulled on our seeking of the truth, our questioning of the truth here. I do want to pull another one because I feel like there's a fourth one that now wants to come up with these. I'm just looking to see which deck. I think the Earth Magic wants to come up. So this is a deck by Stephen Farmer. So we've had Spirit of Earth, Surrender Comparisons with Other People, and Wheel of Fortune number 10. You may have similar cards in decks that you use, but perhaps the imagery is really different or the message is really different. So if you're interpreting these for yourself, look at the cards that I've pulled and then notice what comes up, what it reminds you about cards that you have, or how would you interpret this for yourself? Because the image and the way I read, the image and the words are all important in the energy of which card came up. And that's because I read from a whole bunch of different decks. So it's different than reading one deck only. So from the Earth Magic to finish off for today, yeah, when we're seeking the truth, this can be what it feels like. Stepping into the fog or stepping out of the fog. So sometimes remember that when we're trying to figure out what is the truth in any particular situation, we may feel veiled. We may have a sense that something is going on, but we can't get all the details or we can't see through the fog. We may also have a sense that there is hope, there's bright light, there's possibility, there's amazing things that are present or are coming. But maybe we can't get all of that detail right now. So pay attention to that, notice that. And then perhaps this card is also reminding us that when we're seeking the truth and feeling frustrated and irritated and we can't figure out what the truth is in anything, maybe we need to be like people driving a car in the fog. We're only going to see 10 feet in front of us. So what's happening in that 10 feet? Pay attention to that. What do you see on the road? What is your car telling you? What is your own body telling you? What is your mind and your heart and your spirit telling you? Then look, what are you seeing through the fog? What do you already know that is out there that you're paying attention to try to judge where you're going and how fast you can go and where the position of the road is, or obstacles or a rest area or your destination? Pay attention to those things. But when you're in the real fog, you can use your light, but we all know you don't put on the high beams, right? You use the fog light so that you can see low and calm. So take a breath, connect in with that Spirit of Earth card, ground yourself. Pay attention to how, am I centered or am I all fog and sort of light that's like splintered like this? Pay attention to that. And then we go from there. Really interesting tour. I hope that was valuable and helpful to you as we question and look into and explore into the concept of truth. My name is Sheila Bicknell. I'm BlueWater Oracle. Until next time, take care of you. Ciao.